Welcome to the Friday morning warm-up number 110, and today we're looking at the minor scales. And as always, before that, we're just going to do a few things to warm up our instruments and our bodies and our hands and our minds. And so I'm just going to put onto the screen our clapping pattern today. Oh, I can't find it now. Is that it? No, that's not it. Ah, there we go. Right. This is a clapping pattern that one or two of you may be familiar with because it's what's known as a break in a percussive break in a tune called Oya Como Va. John Seeley's big band play this quite frequently. And those of you who have played it before or who have heard Santana's version of this song on their album Abraxas will recognize this rhythmic pattern which crops up every now and again, sometimes between soloists, sometimes between the verses and so on. And in a lot of Cuban music, they put in breaks just as a way of sort of changing from one particular part of the music to another. And the conductor will signal it and everyone plays it, and then we move on to another. So it's usually only played once at a time, not repeated. So we're just going to play that. We're going to just read it through and clap it and play it just once. And then we'll loop it eventually, because 4 bars rather than the usual 2. So, okay, here we go. Do your best at counting it or reading it, and or just, you might even recognize it. So I'm just going to do it a little bit slower than the normal walking pace. After 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. How about that? Let's do that again. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it a little bit faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. He's starting to recognize it. Maybe not. Faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit faster. I think this is probably about the speed of the actual music now. And 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that one more time and then we'll move on. After 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And if you've got access to the album Abraxas by Santana or just Spotify, YouTube and so on, have a listen to that piece of music. It's a cha-cha written by Tito Puente. And I often tell the story of how he was very annoyed that Santana covered it because they're a rock band and he's a traditional Cuban musician. Until the album sold millions and Tito Puente got a fortune in royalties, and then he was very happy again. So write a hit and get Santana to play it for you and you'll make some money. Okay, let's move on now with, yes, the instrument warm-up. That's a good idea. Let me get my guitar. So grab your instruments. And today's scale, basic scale, is D minor. So I'm just going to play a D for about a minute just to get things going. And if you'd like to do the same, please join in. Here we go. that helps you helps slow down the breathing as well a little bit, doesn't it? After all that violent clapping. Okay, let's move on now to the chromatic scale. So just as always, as we're doing these days, we're just going to play the chromatic scale from concert D up to the octave and straight down again. So concert D, E for your tenor instruments, and B for the altos, and D for Claire now. So here we go. Chromatic scale, begin. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now down, straight down. And again, singing as well if you can. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm just going to speed it up a little bit, as per tradition. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, I hope it's going well for you. Just got a couple more to do, a couple of much quicker ones. Don't forget to go for consistent sound, unless you're deliberately going for an inconsistent one. Maybe do some crescendos and diminuendos at the same time. But generally speaking, go for consistent sound. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Lovely, and a nice quick one, which will be easy for some depending on your instrument, hard for others. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, right, that's the chromatic scale. Okay, we're going to look at the minor scale now. So if you get your instrument exercise sheets out, relevant for your instrument. We're looking at the minor scale, just the 3 main minor scales and just how they're derived, and then we're just going to play through them and chat about them. So let's just start with, first of all, we're looking at concert D minor, E and B for the tenors and altos. So now where does it come from originally? Well, and this is all potted right down into absolute basics. I mean, historically it would have taken a long period of time, but it came from the relative major scale. So every minor scale has a relative major scale, and that major scale is 3 semitones up from the minor scale. So in the case of D minor, it's going to be F major, if you like to think of it that way around. Or you could think of, if you know F major, the relative minor is D minor, 3 semitones lower. Now what that means is, in practice, is that if you take the F major scale and start on the D and play the F major scale, so D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, you will get the D natural minor scale. So we're just going to start off first of all with that F major scale, concert F. So it's on the screen in front of you or on your sheet of paper. So we're just going to first of all play just the basic major scale, just to get that sound into our heads. That's one of the reasons for playing these scales, is to get the sound into your head. What sound is it? What does it sound like? It's the main thing in music, really. So we're just going to play that first 2 bars of the F major scale, nice and straightforward. Concert F. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. very straightforward. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's move on now to the second two bars. This is a descending major scale. So same scale. 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. If this is very straightforward, try it in a difficult part of the instrument, or use two hands. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's the parent major scale. So now we're going to go to the second line and look at the natural minor, or the relative minor scale of that. So as I said, it's just starting on the D, or the 6th degree. Perhaps I should more accurately say the 6th degree of the scale. By that I mean if you could start on the F, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. The D is the 6th up the scale of F. So if we started there and went up, then we would be playing D natural minor. Okay, so we're just going to play the first two bars of the second line, and this is the natural minor or relative minor scale. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And listen to the sound of it. 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. So clearly it's got a minor sound, a darker sound than the major, even though it's just the same notes. And that's one of the wonders of music. Let's play the descending scale now. So this is the second line, bars 3 and 4 of the second line. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, the natural minor it's sometimes called, the relative minor scale. It's also sometimes referred to as the Aeolian mode. Although modes, there are historic modes, there are also modern modes where a scale is simply the major scale but starting on a different degree of that scale, and so you get modes which are like scales, such as Dorian and Aeolian and Mixolydian, and they're simply the major scale starting on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th degree and so on. So you get these different sort of sounds, and sometimes people say, well, mode is just another word for mood. Maybe it is. So that's the Aeolian mode because it started on the 6th degree. Sometimes you see the natural minor called that. Right, now one of the things about that, if you were to harmonize the relative minor scale, on the 5th degree you'd get a minor chord, and in terms of perfect cadences that's not a very strong chord to take you back to the tonic in a 5-1 progression. But by raising the 7th of the scale, it turns that into a dominant 7th, which has got a lot stronger pull towards the tonic in terms of a 5-1 perfect cadence. I'm just going to do a little step to one side theory thing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I just want to show you the idea. I've taken the harmonic minor scale now, which is where you raise the 7th degree by a semitone. I just want to show you how, very briefly, how chords are made and where they come from. Okay, so just I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. Now, just where I'm highlighting it, you'll see the harmonic minor scale. This is A minor now, not D or whatever you're playing. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp. There's a little raised 7th at the end. And to harmonise a scale, you can do this with any scale on a bit of paper while you're watching telly. You simply write down the scale, and then above it, you write the same scale out, but you start on the 3rd. So you start on C in this instance. Then above that, you write it starting on the 5th. So E, F, G sharp, A, B, same scale. And if you want to go further, you can write it starting on the 7th as well. So you write out the scale in 4 times, starting on the different degrees. And then, if you look down vertically, you'll see you've got a chord. So let's take this first one, A, C, E and G sharp. And that will have a chord name. And in this instance, it's A minor major 7. Not a chord we play very often, or see in songs, but because it's got a minor 3rd, but it's got a major 7th on top. If you go now to the 5 chord, the dominant, you'll see it is actually an E7, dominant 7th. That's what we were wanting. And that's why the harmonic minor scale came about, because the 3rd is now a G sharp, which makes it a E7 rather than E minor 7, or E minor chord. It would have been a G if it was a natural minor. So that's just in a nutshell where these chords come from and why they came up I say they, sounds like people in a laboratory, in history, why the harmonic minor scale developed so that we had this dominant 7th. And just one last little thing, if you were to add another 3rd on top of that E7, so you get an F above the D, that would be the 9th. That will be an actual flat 9, and that's where E7 flat 9 comes from. So you jazzers out there who've seen E7 flat 9, it's the 5th degree of the harmonic minor scale. That's where it originated. And the 2 chord, if you go back to the 2, is a half diminished B minor 7 flat 5, and that's where the minor 2/5 that you see in songs like Autumn Leaves comes from. So all out of the harmonic minor scale. Anyway. There we go. That's a little theory side step. Let's get back to the playing. So we're on the harmonic minor scale now. For all I know, you just carried on playing through the sheet while I was talking. So we're on to the harmonic minor scale. So all we've done to the natural minor is we've raised the 7th. So let's play the harmonic minor scale. First 2 bars. 2, 3, 4. That major 7 there on the end. Yes, gives it a different flavour again. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Harmonic minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Some say it makes it sound a little bit Eastern, and yes, it does get used in films to evoke such scenes. Onto the descending. 2, 3, 4. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, as this might be a little bit more unfamiliar, let's play all the way across. So all 4 bars of the harmonic minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, good. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now the gap between the 6th and the 7th, because the 7th has been raised in the harmonic minor scale, is now a minor third, which is a bit unusual in the scales. Most scales, the intervals are only semitones or tones. Now you've got a tone and a half there. And again, in this potted nutshell of an explanation, that makes it a little bit hard to sing, because it's a bit of an unusual interval. For melodies, it's not really the best interval to include. So by raising the 6th, nudging it up towards the 7th by a semitone, you straighten it out again so that you've got just a tone interval. And that's what the melodic minor scale has. It's got a raised 6th in order to close that gap between the 6th and the 7th. So we're going to the next line now, and indeed it does make it easier to write nice melodies because you haven't got this big gap in it. So the harmonic minor scale, you can think of it as being producing the harmony, such as that minor 7 flat 5 and the E7 flat 9, but the melodic minor scale for melodies. Again, this is just kind of, as I say, in a little nutshell way of helping you remember it as well. So the melodic minor one is where it's more melodic. So let's play the first 2 bars of the melodic minor scale. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Sometimes this, for jazz musicians, this is also known as the jazz minor scale. And one of the reasons for that is because in classical music and classical theory, when you descend on the melodic minor scale, you actually just play the natural minor scale. So you go back to a non-raised 6th and a non-raised 7th. And that's what I've got shown on the sheet in front of you. When we're descending, we're just playing the same as the natural minor. We are playing the natural minor, in fact. In jazz music, if you're playing the melodic minor, or it's asking you to play the melodic minor, you would play the same scale descending as well as ascending. And that's why they sometimes call it the jazz minor, just to differentiate it between the classical melodic minor and the jazz version. So maybe jazz musicians can't think quick enough when they're descending. Go back to natural 6ths and 7ths. But anyway, that's the way the music has evolved. So let's just play the. We've done it before, but let's just tell you what. We'll play the whole line. So going up the melodic minor scale and then down the descending melodic minor, but with the natural 6th and 7th. So we're going to play that whole line now. So you'll hear the difference. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, all 4 bars. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And I think we've discussed before one of the reasons for having this different descending scale is that if you descend the actual melodic minor, the one with the raised sharp sixth and seventh, you actually are playing the same notes as the major scale. So it can lead you into thinking it's a major sound when you descend. But by flattening the seventh and naturaling the seventh and sixth, you're back to sounding minorish. So there is a thought that that's why it's best to play the melodic minor as a minor descending part of that part of the scale. There's something else I was going to say. Yes, another way of remembering the melodic minor, if you think, oh crumbs, that's a load of notes to remember, is the melodic minor ascending, the altered one, is simply the melodic minor, is simply the major scale, but with a flattened third. So if you want to remember the melodic minor scale in terms of other scales, so we're playing D here. So if you play D major, but you just flatten the third, the F sharp, to an F, you'll get the melodic minor ascending scale. It is only that one note different from the major scale. But of course it's the third is the thing which makes a scale either major or minor. So that kind of stands to reason, really. Right, better move on. Time's pressing on, and we've all got things to do, haven't we? I'm sure you have. The Dorian scale. Okay, this is kind of, again, a little bit of sidestep here. It's not really one of the traditional minor scales. It's actually a mode of the major scale, of the second degree of the major scale. But I thought I'd include it here anyway because it's the final permutation of the upper part of the scale. And then you've got all four possibilities. So this is the Dorian scale, and it is used a lot in music as an improvising scale. So we're just going to play through straight across the Dorian scale. This is concert D, so that means it's the second degree of the major scale of C. So C major, go to the second degree, start on the D, and you get D Dorian. That's the way the mode works there. In terms of its actual intervals, it's got a raised sixth but a natural seventh. Let's play it all the way across, all four bars. Dorian. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice it's always been the second bar in all these examples that is where the variation exists, in the sixth and the seventh. It's only the sixth and seventh we're changing in all these scales. Do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. And 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go, that's the sound of the Dorian mode. Shouldn't really call it a scale there, should call it a mode. When you come to do your own practice, by the way, practice at any tempo other than 80. Because I'm always using 80, and you're going to be very good at playing at 80 beats a minute. I'm sure you're very good at playing at all sorts of tempos, but it can get a bit into your brain if do something at constant speed all the time. So maybe I should vary it at this end. Anyway, moving on. I've just got 4 little phrases here, which are playing the notes in the second half of the scale, the upper tetrachord, if you want to call it that. So in the second bar of the scale, because that's where the differences lie, the sixths and the sevenths, and where they vary. And I've been saying, hear the sound of these scales, and so these little phrases, they're just little melodic phrases. You might be able to hear which scale they have come from, because they're based around the sixths and sevenths. Okay, so we're just going to play the first phrase. This is based on the natural minor. Yep, so no raised sixth or seventh. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that sound like the natural minor? Yeah. 2, 3, 4. Da, do, da, do, do, do. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it does. Right, on to the next one. Does this sound like the harmonic minor scale? We've got the raised seventh in it. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, definitely, yeah. Hear that? And again, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, harmonic minor. Right, now onto the melodic minor scale. So when we're going up, the notes are sharpened. When we're coming down, they're flattened. So let's see if this sounds like a melodic minor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, not so obvious, but yeah. 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. And the Dorian. Mustn't forget the Dorian. So this one's got the raised sixth, but the normal flattened seventh. 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't sound right. Oh yes, yes, that's right. Yes, raised sixth. Good. Okay. Well, there you go. It's a little exploration of the minor scales, and we will no doubt come back to that in weeks to come in a different key. Okay, let's move on. I'm just finishing off then for the last minute because time is moving on. So we're just going to finish with the usual bit of strumming. And if you want to try any of those scales, just pick one. And if you want to practice improvising, you can do that, or you can just play the chords or arpeggiate them. And just a very typical sort of, sometimes known as the Spanish progression, chord sequence, just for. I'm going to strum through, and any of those scales will sound nice and melodic over these, even if the notes don't all match. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Finish on the major. Yes, I just played that last chord as a major rather than minor, and you get that lovely sound. Okay, good. Right, that's it, everybody. We have finished Friday morning warm-up number 110. Right, if you'd like to unmute yourselves, you can say goodbye to each other. and I'll see you all next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Wait, next week. See you then.
Thanks.
Bye,
Thank you,
Robin.
Dave.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Dave.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
everyone.
Cheerio. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
David. Bye. Bye.
See you next week.